Hey guys, yeah, I got a new year-end list for you. This one's gonna be a bit more of an experiment. I don't know how it's gonna go, but for those of you that don't know, I am a collector. I collect things all the time, whether it be stuff like, let me give an example here, stuff like action figures, stuff like this, or what's another example I have close by? I also collect building sets like this. So, yeah, I'm a collector. I collect all kinds of stuff, all kinds of different merchandise, and the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, why don't I do a top 10 of my favorites of the year? Now, granted, unfortunately, I don't own all these, so I'm gonna have to put them as pictures here, but you're probably gonna sit there and wonder, well, if you know that you don't own them, why are they even eligible for this list at all? Well, unlike something like games, action figures is actually a bit more easier to get a grasp on because most of the time from reviews and stuff like that and positive feedback from other things, you can kind of get an idea of how it actually turned out. Not to mention positive word of mouth always helps too. So yeah, that's why these are on the list and why I actually do include them, but I do have at least 2 or 3 of them physically that I can show here, except for one which I unfortunately do not have on me right now, but I did do a full review on. So, yep, this is going to be a bit of an experiment, and I'm going to see how it turns out. If you guys end up really liking it, I'll add it to our yearly traditions, and if not, it's just something I'll just keep personally for myself. So, without further ado, let's check these out. These are the top 10 best releases of 2023. Now, for those of you that don't know what a release is, I mean a collectible. Anything like a action figure to a statue or a playset or a building set, stuff like that. I'm not including games and I'm not including movies, with the exception of collector's editions. So, before we start though, I do have some honorable mentions I do want to give a shout out to. These are ones that didn't quite make the list but are still pretty good, so let's talk about them together. The first one is the NECA Last Ronin. There is a couple reasons why this one is so cool. One, it's NECA, so it's high quality sculpting. Two, it's Last Ronin, arguably the biggest breakout comic book of the entire year, which is only going to get better with the video game on the way. Super excited for that. And then the figure itself is just fantastic. It's high quality, it's well sculpted, and even if the articulation's a little hampered because NECA is always about more sculpt over articulation, it is still going to be one that's going to catch a lot of people's eye, including the one I have pictured here, which is the red and black Rogue version, which I absolutely love, and it looks like it came right off the cover of the comic book itself. So, yeah, Last Ronin deserves a spot on the list, not only because it's a huge brand new IP for the Ninja Turtles franchise, but also because it's just an awesome looking figure. Again, especially the red and black Rogue version, which just looks incredible. And if you can get like a black light under it or something, whoo, you can have a real standout in your collection, even if you're not the biggest Turtles fan. The second one, my second honorable mention on the list, shout out to my friend Isaiah Vila, who was actually lucky enough to get this figure. At least I believe it was my friend Isaiah. It was either Isaiah or my friend Spider Phantom. That is the SH Figuarts Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. This year we got more than a couple Spider-Man releases, most of them Marvel Legends, which were bad. But surprisingly enough, from what I've heard, the SH Figuarts one is actually pretty good, and it's pretty articulated. It has an unmasked head for Tobey Maguire, because this is the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, my Spider-Man. And from what I can tell, it is a really good release, but it is $90. That's a lot for a figure. But don't worry, Figuarts is definitely on this list, but I can't really put the Spider-Man one here on good faith, even though I love it, and it's probably easily the best Tobey Maguire Spider-Man figure we've gotten this year next to, I don't know, the metallic Funko Pop, maybe. But it's so expensive that's going to become a bit harder to find. Thus why I'm also not including any of the SH Figuarts Across the Spider-Verse figures, though 2099 is a pretty cool one, so shout out to that one as well. I don't have a picture, but shout out to that one as well. But this is a really cool one. I mainly threw this in for my boy Isaiah because I know he bought this figure. He is one of the people lucky enough to have this figure in his collection, and he's sung the praises of it when he showed it to me on Messenger. So shout out to Isaiah or Spider Phantom, whichever one of you it was, for showing me this figure, and it definitely deserves an honorable mention. And I'm glad all of us have a great Tobey Maguire figure in 2023, despite a certain other release featuring Tobey Maguire that was really bad. We'll get to that later in a different list. So yeah, that deserves an honorable mention, absolutely. And then next on the honorable mentions, this one's a personal pick of mine because I personally found this to be a really cool release, and similar to another one that actually did make the list, and that is the Amazon exclusive Dragon Ball Super glow-in-the-dark Funko Pop of Future Trunks. He's got his big sword of hope, he has all these glowing effects behind him. It's Future Trunks, one of the most badass characters in all of anime, and the glow, as you can see from this picture, is amazing. But it's almost $30. Yeah, price plays into this, guys. Price plays into the placements on this list. So, yeah, because of that, and not to mention it's technically a common pop because it is the exact same size of a normal pop. I can't really put it on the list in good faith, but it looks so cool, and I do plan to get this one eventually. Trust me. So, that is the glow-in-the-dark Future Trunks from Dragon Ball Super. Next up in the honorable mentions is probably the only good thing Hasbro did this year. Yeah, I know, it's subjective opinion. And that is the 20th anniversary Ultimate Captain America. This is one of the coolest looking figures I think I've ever seen. Accurate head sculpt, great sculpt in general, cool articulation, surprisingly good paint despite this being mostly reused parts. And effects parts are great, the backdrop is great. I love its brighter colors. It's just a super freaking cool release, plain and simple. I think it's technically from 2022, but I'm throwing it in here because A, the Ultimate Captain America we got this year was just okay. And this release is just so cool that it needs to be mentioned. It's such a cool release. What a cool way to celebrate 20 years of a mediocre but beloved toy line. And I can't deny it looks super cool. So, yep, that's why it's on the list. The 20th anniversary Marvel Legends Ultimate Captain America. And I'm also just a sucker for Captain America. So, there we go. And then finally, the last cut I had to make for this list, and it's probably going to be a little bit controversial, but it's just my personal opinion. We don't have to agree on everything. And that is the Jakks Pacific Sonic Prime 5-inch 9 figure. This guy deserves a spot, at least in the honorable mentions alone, for the fact that he has 70 points of articulation. Yes, 70, because all those extra mechanical tails are all articulated on top of the normal figure, and that is insane. Not to mention some of the poses you can get out of this guy. Oh, it looks so cool. I've seen some videos about it, I've seen some pictures about it. It's a really cool release. So why is it not on the list? Stiff competition. But for $15, 70 points of articulation is extremely impressive, and it is a crying shame no one else is bringing this up, because that is an impressive feat of action figure engineering. So, yep, awesome job, Jakks, but don't worry, you are in the actual list. So yeah, that's the honorable mentions. The NECA Last Ronin, the SH Figuarts Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the glow-in-the-dark Super Saiyan Future Trunks from Dragon Ball Super, the Ultimate Captain America, the 20th Anniversary Edition, and the 5-inch 9. So, yep, without any further ado, let's get into the actual list itself. And starting off at number 10, I'm going to cheat a little bit, because it's actually 4 figures tied at this spot, and it's because I couldn't pick between them. All of them are such super cool releases, and some of them for the first time in years in this particular line. I know I said that Jakks was going to be on this list, and yeah, they're right here at number 10, but don't worry, it's not the last Jakks thing on the list, so don't get mad at me, fellow Sonic fans, for not putting this higher, but number 10 on the list is a 4-way tie between 4 of the coolest 4-inch figures they've released this year, and that is Chaos, Blaze, Jet, and Infinite. let's start with Chaos first. First of all, probably I believe the first time Chaos has ever gotten an actual figure, and he looks really cool. They made it pretty much all out of dark blue translucent plastic. Yes, he's missing the exposed brain thing, but I think that was done to not terrify little children that don't understand Sonic lore. So I can understand that change. And not to mention it comes with a Master Emerald, pretty much completing all the emeralds together. So, yeah, Chaos, he had to be on the list. Then you have Blaze the Cat, probably my personal pick if I had to pick between these four, and it's because of her great sculpt, the fact this is the first time we've gotten her in an action figure since Jazzwares, which was years ago, the great articulation, and she comes with a Soul Emerald, a brand new accessory that has never been in any other Sonic release before. So, yeah, that's really cool, and I give Jax a lot of props for actually going that far to be accurate to the character. And as a huge Blaze the Cat fan, if you saw my Sonic characters tier list, you would know that I'm a huge fan of this character, and they absolutely nailed it with this figure. So, I don't have anything else to really say about Blaze. She's probably one of the most highly praised figures of the entire Sonic toy line from Jax. And again, Jax just continues to kill it every single year with these releases. Then third is Jet the Hawk. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of attachments to this one because I didn't grow up playing Sonic Riders, but he looks great from his articulation to his sculpt and coming with his own hoverboard, which is, according to what I've been able to gather from the internet, straight out of Zero Gravity, which is really cool attention to detail. And I believe, again, just like Blaze, the first time he's gotten a figure since Jazzwares. So, yep, praise for that one. And then there's the big boy, Infinite. And yes, I know you're probably saying, well, hold on, if you're going to have Infinites in here, where's Mephiles? And yes, I know Mephiles technically came out this year as well, but I think he's not technically supposed to come out until this year, 2024. So I will save Mephiles for this coming year, for next year on list, if I decide to do this again. He will be on that list. Can't say where, but he'll be there. But as for Infinite, first time we've gotten him since the Tomy figure, which was okay. It couldn't really do a whole lot. It's a really small figure. But this 4-inch one is great. Great articulation, great sculpt, and he comes with that, what was that thing called? Sorry, it's been a while since I played Sonic Forces, but he comes with that special gem of his that gives him power. I forget what they call it. It's not Paradox Prism, that's Sonic Prime. Well, editing will correct me later. Okay. So, yep, all four of them are going to be tied at the number 10 spot, simply because I can't pick between them. Whether you want Blaze, Chaos, Jet, or Infinite, all four of them are great figures, and all of them deserve a spot on this list, so let's just have them all here together. Speaking of ones to have all together, let's go ahead and move on to our number 9 pick, and this is also kind of breaking my rules a bit, because I usually don't include any re-releases, but this one is special. Again, shout out to my boy Isaiah. This one is definitely from him. I remember this one. He's the one that even told me about this. And that is the Playmates re-release of the 03 Ninja Turtles. For those of you that don't already know, if you didn't watch Cowabunga Cavalcade, I am a huge fan of the 03 Ninja Turtles. They were my personal childhood turtles. They were my introduction to the Ninja Turtles. And even watching it to this very day, it is still one of the highest quality incarnations of this franchise we've ever gotten. Yes, 2012 is the best one in my personal opinion and my personal favorite, but 03 is still incredible all these years later. And the second that I heard that Playmates was actually re-releasing these figures, I got excited because it's actually the first time in a long time we've seen 03. Heck, 03 has had a surprising great big resurgence this year. Whether it's the incredible Ultimate Collection, which finally gave us a complete series of the 03 show, meaning that it won't be a pain to try and collect all the episodes anymore. Like, seriously, I don't know what was up with those original releases. They were bad. They were all scattered, all different episodes out of order. This one brought them all together and included the Turtles Forever movie, which, not a big fan of, but it's cool that they included it. So, props to that. And if it weren't for the fact that I don't include DVDs outside collector's editions, it would have made the list. And then, of course, you have the 03 skins in Dimension Shell Shock and Shredder's Revenge, which is really cool. And then of course, now you have this. And yeah, these figures are pretty cool. But what's also interesting about these re-releases is that they actually touched up the paint a little bit. And I didn't notice this until I saw a TikTok about it. And it turns out that these figures actually have a slightly different paint job than the original. And it's in the fact that they actually have like this more detailed wash color over them. Now, it's hard to tell from pictures, but once you actually see it in real life, you'll be able to tell the difference. And it actually looks better than the original release. And then, of course, on top of that, you still have the original figures themselves that are still here and accounted for. And they are still really good figures for their time period. Now, unfortunately, I didn't grow up with these figures. I grew up with that 4-pack of the tiny Micro Turtles. Don't ask me why. I'm not the one that bought the thing. It was when I was a really little kid. But these figures are awesome, and you bet your bottom dollar I will be chasing after Leonardo at least, because I want to try to get one of every incarnation of that guy since he is my favorite turtle. So, yeah, number 9 on the list. All these re-releases deserve a spot, and if I'm not wrong, I'm pretty sure they re-released Shredder, Splinter, and Karai as well. So, yeah. Thank you, Playmates, for celebrating 03. I'm so glad 03 had such a huge resurgence this year. And I'm excited to see if maybe, just maybe, it can come back with some new releases as well. We'll have to wait and see. But thanks to Mutant Mayhem, and thanks to just celebrating Turtles in general, as this new incarnation came to be, 03 got a huge resurgence. And it makes me super excited to see if maybe it'll get some new releases in this upcoming year. I literally have nothing else to say. I love 03, and I'm glad that it came back this year in such a big way. Okay, that segment was a little longer than expected, and we're already almost 20 minutes into this video, so I'm going to fly through these next few a little bit quicker. Next up at number 8 is going to be the Dragon Ball Super Dragon Stars Beast Gohan. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, well, why not put the SH figure art on here? And again, guys, price pays into it. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that one's a premium Bandai exclusive, meaning that it's going to be really difficult for casual consumers like me to actually get their hands on without dumping a whole giant load of cash. So, because of that, I have to go with the budget option, and it's Beast Gohan. And Beast Gohan's by no means a bad figure. He is still pretty good, and I mean, it is still Dragon Stars after all. They are a very impressive, well-done budget line for budget collectors like me that don't have like oodles and oodles of cash to always spend on things. Super expensive. So it's a pretty cool release, but I wouldn't blame you if you do prefer the SH figure art. I mean, it's the one that comes with the blast effect. It has better articulation, has a better sculpt, has better art and paint, and etc. But for budget collectors like me, this Beast Gohan will more than do the job. And I personally think he's still pretty cool. So, yep, that's number 8. Number 7 is an interesting one, and that is the SpongeBob SquarePants Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt board game. You guys remember, I think it was about a year or two ago, when we got a real-life version of Eels and Escalators straight out of the Sailor Mouth episode? Well, this year, they decided to tug at my personal nostalgia strings, because now we have a real-life version of another SpongeBob board game from one of my most underrated and all-time favorite SpongeBob episodes, Arg, from Season 1, the pirate episode, the Flying Dutchman's Treasure Hunt. Now, why is this not higher on the list? It's $60, guys. Not to mention, just like Eels and Escalators, it was a Hot Topic exclusive, meaning that it's shooting up in price pretty quick. But, man, does this look cool, and I'm so glad that they actually tried their best to replicate the actual game itself, from the cards to the design of the board, and even getting Connect Sand as the sand you can use to dig up the treasure chests at the very end when you win the game. That is so clever. Like, seriously, props to whoever thought of that one. That is so clever. But because it's $60, because it's exclusive to Hot Topic, and it's going to shoot up in price just like Eels and Escalators, can't put it higher on the list. Not to mention, it's a board game, and a list mainly full of action figures. So it's kind of at a disadvantage, but it's still a really cool release, and I definitely think you guys should check it out if you haven't already. if you can afford it. Next up at number 6 is a figure I did a full review on that unfortunately not a lot of you saw because it doesn't have even 20 reviews. Not even that. But unfortunately I don't really have it physically to show you, so instead I'm just going to put up the thumbnail for my initial video and talk about it a little bit. It is the Playmates Mutant Mayhem Leonardo. I did a full review of this guy. I wasn't expecting to do a full review of this guy, like I said in that review. Completely unexpected video. I was not expecting to buy these until much later on, but goodness gracious, I love this Leonardo figure. I love its brighter neon colors. I love its sculpt. I love its design. Not to mention I'm just a huge fan of the Mutant Mayhem designs in general, especially for Leonardo. And then, of course, they brought back the weaponries of the 2012 line. It's just such a cool figure. I can't really say much more than that because, like I said, did a full review. You can go check that out if you want more details. But it is such an awesome release. It is such a cool release, and I literally have nothing else to say. It's such a cool release. Check it out. Heck, check out all the basic figures. No doubt all of them are really cool. I just picked Leo because favorite Ninja Turtle, and it's the one I actually bought. So, there we go. Number 5 is another one I did a review on, but unlike Leo, I actually have it here physically to show instead of a picture. Number 5 on the list is going to be my personal favorite Funko Pop of the year, and that is the Kaioken Blue glow-in-the-dark Goku. I did a full review on this guy, and he is still just as awesome as I said in that review. The sculpt is great. I love how they got the Kaioken effect right there behind the actual figure itself. The blue is great. I love the way that they made the eyes a different color blue than the hair. And of course, the glow of this thing is insanely good. Like, I only paid about, what, 20, 25 bucks for this guy because he was a Box Lunch exclusive that ended up going to Amazon because Box Lunch dropped Funko Pops altogether, which is sad, but it also meant that I could finally get my hands on this guy, and he is an awesome release. Like, as a Dragon Ball fan, I love it. As a Funko Pop collector, I love it. It's just such an awesome, awesome pop, and I'm glad that it was probably my biggest pickup of the year. Huge fan of this guy. Absolutely check it out if you can still find it, and I can only hope I can get the full cowl glow-in-the-dark Deku to go right next to him, and the glow-in-the-dark Vegeta too, just to complete the trio. So, yeah, I literally have nothing else to say. This guy's sick. Go see my full review if you want more details. Awesome, awesome release. And probably my favorite of all my Funko Pops, with the exception of Supersonic because that one's signed by Roger Craig Smith. So, yeah, absolutely deserves a spot on the list here at number 5. Going back now to the ones I sadly don't actually own. Number 4 is going to be the Sewer Layer from Mutant Mayhem. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one because Playmates always kills it with the sewer layers. Even the one for Rise of the TMNT was good, even though I thought that show was bad, but that was besides the point. All the sewer layers have been good. I grew up on the 2012 sewer layer. It was one of my favorite things ever, and I got that as a Christmas gift too, which made it even better. Like, I loved that sewer layer to death, and I hope one day I can possibly get it back and show it to you guys in a full retro review. But for now, unfortunately, it's going to have to remain a bucket list item. For now, I gotta talk about the Mutant Mayhem one. And it's probably their most detailed and intricate and all-around incredible sewer layer to date. Like, all the different accessories are cool. The sculpt itself and the whole build is great. You have, like, this cool little slime ball mechanic thing. You have a workout bench, you have a place to store the pizza van that you can buy separately, just like with the 2012 one, you had a place to store the Shell Razor. It's such a cool release. Like, again, Playmates just always kills it with the sewer layers. And not to mention, it's less than $100 and is almost about as tall as halfway up my freaking window right there, which is incredible. Not to mention an absolute bargain. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Super freaking cool release. And Playmates, again, you kill it every single incarnation of this series with your sewer layers. Next up at number 3, I put Last Ronin NECA as the honorable mention, so obviously we had to put one here on the actual list. And I knew for a fact it had to be one of the Universal Monster figures, because I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I am a huge fan of the Universal Monsters, the classic 30s and 40s horror films. I absolutely love them to death. And when I found out that Ninja Turtles actually has done a whole line with them dating all the way back to the original Playmates line, I got really excited. And not to mention I got extra excited when this was initially announced, I believe, a year or two ago with the Frankenstein Raphael. And I was so excited about it that I actually went so far as to make a full, giant, detailed post on my Facebook, pretty much detailing the entire history of this collab, from both waves of the 80s line, the surprise return of it in the Savante Romero tie-in figures for the TMNT figures, and again now with this newer line. And this new line is probably the best one. The articulation, the sculpt, the detail, the accessories, the extreme attention to accuracy with the actual theme of each figure. It is something to behold, and NECA deserves all the props in the world for making such insanely cool releases. So which one did it have to be this year? Well, it was between two of them. It was between either Invisible Man Donatello or Phantom of the Opera Casey Jones. Both of these figures are super cool releases that I absolutely love, but the more I thought about it, it had to be Invisible Man Donatello. And it's because I am a huge fan of the Invisible Man. It is one of my top 3 of the entire Universal Monsters series, right up there, with Dracula being number 1, and number 2, surprisingly enough, probably being Bride of Frankenstein. So, yeah, this release was cool. This one was highly anticipated for me, and it came out amazing. From the sculpt to its accessories. I mean, heck, you can literally you can display him visible and invisible, with or without hat, and with all these different cool accessories, including like a science kit, and a lightning rod bow staff, and all these different cool bandaged sculpts for the hands and the head. You can have the head partially disappearing with little sticks of hair. Like, my goodness, this figure is insane. And it's only gotten cooler every single time I see it. Don't worry, I plan to get these figures someday and do a full review of all of them, especially with the fact that this is continuing into this year, into 2024, with my personal, very highly anticipated release of the Creature from the Black Lagoon Leonardo. I'm so excited for that one, because it's going to be the first time that has been done since the original 80s Playmates crossover second wave figure of the same name. Like, super excited for that one, super excited for this line in general, and this really was a match made in heaven, so, well, I guess match made in hell, because it's Universal Monsters, but still. It's super cool. NECA owns both licenses, they combined them together, and they probably created some of my all-time favorite Ninja Turtle figures. This being no exception. Absolutely phenomenal release, deserves the top 3 spot. Number 2, we have to talk about this one, because you know I'm a Dragon Ball nut. Let's talk about the SH Figuarts legendary Super Saiyan Goku. Probably one of the most impressively designed and engineered figures of the entire year. Yes, it has a little bit of a problem here and there with a little bit of the articulation, but outside of that, super incredible release. One, it's a brand new sculpt. It's not just the reused same Goku mode over and over anymore, which is refreshing. It is a very iconic version of this character. You know, he's big and buffed out. It's about halfway through his fight as Super Saiyan against Frieza on Planet Namek. And all the details and all the faces and the Kamehameha, and not only that, even though there's little bits of problems with the articulation itself, it's still incredible articulation. Like, you can make him do a Kamehameha very easily, you can make him do it one-handed, you can get him in fighting poses if you have flight stands. Like, there's no doubt this deserves to be on the list. yes, $60 is a lot for this, I understand, but it is worth every single penny. Not to mention you have to take into account everything you're getting here. You're getting a ton of different face sculpts, all of them look phenomenal. You're getting incredible articulation, a brand new body sculpt, completely engineered to actually work with the articulation. And you're getting insanely good paint and detail. I literally have nothing else to say. This is one that is predictable to be on everyone's best list, and it's undoubtedly on mine too. Like, don't get me wrong, I love my Kaioken Blue Goku Pop, but there's no doubt that the best Dragon Ball release of this year was undisputably the legendary Super Saiyan Goku, and I can only hope one day to maybe get him, as long as I don't have to pay $100 for him, because that is when I'm just going to have to tap out and say no. So, yep, deserves the number 2 spot, absolutely. And now, number 1. Jax took my number 1 spot last year with their... Which one was it? Actually, I believe it was all their Sonic Movie 2 stuff would have been number 1 if I had started doing this list last year. But this year, oh man, they took it to, again, a whole nother level once again. I already mentioned Chaos Blaze, Jet, Infinite, and the 5" 9 figure. But I also need to mention, like, Thorn Rose, and finally re-releasing Shadow, thank you, 2.5" Rouge, the freaking Death Egg playset, which, yeah, it's a weird set, but it's a really cool one, and just so many other super cool releases left and right. So, needless to say, picking a favorite of my Jax-specific Sonic options was a real pain, because they were all so cool, and I didn't want to end up leaving any of them off the list. But the more that I thought about it, the more it made sense for me to put this one at number 1. Because you know what's even cooler than Sonic the Hedgehog himself? Sonic the Hedgehog with pirates! Yeah, if you saw my Sonic Prime reviews, you should have known this one was coming. Number 1, my favorite release of the year, is the Jax-specific Sonic Prime Angel's Voyage playset. It is a Sonic the Hedgehog themed pirate ship. That's a playset with firing cannons that works on both land and water, that has so much display ability, so much extra space to put every single one of your Sonic Prime figures. You can store them in the brig, you can have them sitting on the deck, you can have them hanging off the ropes. Like, it's so freaking cool. And then on top of that, if that wasn't already cool enough, then they had to go the extra mile and include an exclusive figure of 2.5" Knuckles the Dread, the Captain Pirate Knuckles. And he looks so cool too. Like, they nailed the sculpt and articulation with that guy. However, 40's a bit much. I will say that right off the bat, but it deserves the number 1 spot, absolutely. But I know you're all sitting there thinking, isn't there one release that he forgot to mention? Isn't there one that obviously was going to be very high on his list that he hasn't brought up yet? Where is it? Don't worry, guys. I didn't forget. Because it's actually a tie at the number 1 spot. Yes, I know, I'm breaking my own rules again, deal with it. My list, my show. But, if I really had to be truthful with myself, as much as I love that Angel's Voyage set, it's so cool, I cannot wait to get it and review it for you guys. There was another thing that happened this year that, well, got me pretty excited very quickly, because this one has been a childhood dream of mine for a long time, and even though it took 32 years, it finally became reality.
New LEGO Sonic collaboration featuring the iconic blue hedgehog, Sonic.
Ooh, hey, make sure to mention how amazing my sets are.
Please don't interrupt me.
My bad.
C as Sonic.
DJs.
Yes, and...
Eats chili dogs.
Yep, and uses the speed sphere to go really fast.
Hi.
What?
I think you need to emphasize how fast I am.
I said you went really fast.
Yeah, but I go really, really fast.
You want me to say really, really fast?
Actually, say really, really, really fast.
C as the speed sphere goes really.
Ooh, could you add awesome before speed sphere?
Any other requests?
Nah, you're doing great.
C as the awesome speed sphere goes really fast.
Yeah!
Visit Sonic's fast friend Tails in his workshop with his iconic tornado plane.
Time to do the barrel roll, Tails. Ho-ho-ho!
Now let's head to Amy Rose's Animal Rescue Island.
Amy with her trusty hammer.
Hey Sonic,
Yes, Mr. Sky Voice?
if you're really so fast, try and beat me to the Green Hill Zone Loop Challenge. Yes, gotcha Sonic. Who's fast now? Now we can take our time admiring this nice loop-de-loop and nice ring bit.
Turn around.
How did you get in here?
I told ya, I'm really
Yep. Number one is a tie between the Angel's Voyage playset and the entire first wave of Lego Sonic. Like, my goodness. This was something I've always wanted to happen. It seemed like ever since we got that incredible Dimensions pack that pretty much gave us a miniature Lego Sonic game within a bigger Lego game, like, it seemed like it was getting to be more and more of a possibility. But then it became really just quiet, and then a couple projects from Lego Ideas got turned away, and it just seemed like it wasn't going to happen. And then not to mention the gimmicky crappy Mario sets. I mean, need I say more about that trash? But then, out of nowhere, I believe it was, last year? 2022, 2021? It was 2021, I remember, 2021. In 2021, though, we got the Lego Ideas Sonic set from Toaster Girl, and it got approved and actually released as a set, and probably became one of the highest selling Lego sets of all the Lego Ideas theme line. Like, it sold incredibly well, and it was a clear indicator to Sega and Lego that they wanted this to happen. So, what they do? Well, then they announced that Lego Sonic was going to become a reality. All 5 sets of this first wave, well, 4 of the 5, releasing in early August of this year. And my goodness, were these sets incredible. All of them deserve a spot on the list. But again, I didn't want to end up making this list too repetitive, so instead, they all go here at number 1. And it's because they are all incredible sets in their own right. Yes, the Death Egg Robot one is my least favorite. And it's not because it's a bad set. It's an okay set. It's a cool set. But that dome piece on the top just still looks really weird. And then outside of the giant mech, you don't really have much else. You have like a really tiny little thing that ends up also having Cubot as a additional little Easter egg, and then a spike trap, and then you have the launcher with the speed spear. And that's it. Bit of a bummer, but I mean, it's still a cool set. It's cool, it's just the weakest of the bunch. Then you have Tails Workshop, Amy's Island Animal Rescue. I hope I'm saying that right. The Speed Spear Challenge set. And then you have the Green Hill Zone Loop Challenge set. And then on top of that, if that wasn't enough, then they released 2 brickheads of Sonic and Tails that are absolutely adorable. Like, Lego Sonic freaking killed it this year. And they absolutely nailed it in every single way, shape, and form. Not to mention, what automatically makes it better than the Mario set by miles, these are minifigure scale. They're not giant, gimmicky, electronic garbage. Like, they're actual minifigure scale, and it's not all that gimmicky. Yes, it has the speed spear thing, but that fits Sonic's character. He's always about spin dashing into things. It made sense. Whereas with the Mario thing, it was just gimmicky electronics for the sake of a price hike. But here with the Lego Sonic sets, they did an amazing job with that. They did an amazing job with the builds, and not to mention, it also gave some incentive to buy every single set. Yes, some of them had the same figures that you already had from another set, but what made them unique outside the builds themselves were the fact that each of them came with their own individual, exclusive badnik. Like, each of them came with a different one. You had a Buzz Bomber, you had Chopper, you had Crab Meat, and heck, just this year, well, technically early December, but I'm counting it as this year, whatever. I mean, we got Rhinobot. That in itself is freaking cool. Like, every single one of these has their own exclusive little badnik, and all of them look so cool and so much like their in-game counterpart. And then you have the flickies that you can put inside of them that also give it a little bit of a play feature when you knock them down, almost like you're freeing them just like in the Sonic games. I could praise these for hours, man, but point is, they nailed it this year. They absolutely freaking nailed it with this set theme. And I'm glad they made this dream of mine, and probably many other OG Sonic fans who love LEGO, finally come true. It took forever, but I'm glad it's finally a thing. So yeah, LEGO Sonic Wave 1 deserves a spot at number 1. And heck, Wave 2 is probably going to be in the spot in 2024, because, I mean, just last month, we got the freaking awesome Shadow set that I did a full review on, and we literally just today, they just released the Knuckles Mech Battle set with Knuckles and Rouge the Bats. Already, in only the second wave of this set, we already have almost the entire main cast of Sonic. Because we have Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Amy, Shadow, and Rouge. Like, incredible what they were able to do in less than 2 years. And I have no doubt that these LEGO sets are only going to keep getting better, and I'm excited to see what else they have for Wave 2. And not to mention, this upcoming February, we are getting more Brickheads with a 2-pack of Knuckles and Shadow. Like, I can't even explain how excited I am for that one. So, yeah, it may be a biased pick. It's probably not going to be at number 1 on anyone else's list, and like I said, it is a tie with the Angel's Voyage set. But undeniably, the coolest freaking thing to happen this year was LEGO Sonic. It was a childhood dream that finally became reality after 32 years, and I couldn't be happier as a Sonic fan. I hope I get to collect all of them someday. I can't wait to review every single one of them for you, outside Shadow, which I already reviewed. And I'm excited to see what else is coming for this line. And maybe, just maybe, we can get a LEGO Sonic solo video game from Traveler's Tales. How freaking awesome would that be? But I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'm already making this video too long, so. Yeah, LEGO Sonic and the Jakks Pacific Angel's Voyage playset. The number 1 best releases of 2023 by a mile. So, yep, that's it. And I pretty much did this almost uncut with the exception of this build up to the final spot, because I really wanted to show you how exciting and hyped I was for these LEGO sets. And not to mention, it's got me back into LEGO for the first time in, what, at least 8-9 years? Because the last LEGO set I actually bought and built myself was that freaking Ghost Rider set. And then, not to mention, even going further back into 2013, that, again, the TMNT sewer layer with Leonardo and Raphael. Like, I haven't bought LEGO in a while, but this line has gotten me back into this brand again. So, because of that alone, it deserves a spot. And now I'm just rambling. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And next time, it's not going to be very fun. Now, granted, it's only a top 5 list instead of a top 10 list, because there actually weren't that many bad releases this year that I can think of. But the bad ones were really bad. So, yeah, it's not going to be a very fun list, but I will do my best to keep cursing to a minimum and will try to instead be fair and critical about it. So, yeah. See you guys next time for the top 5 worst releases of 2023. Let me know what you think of this year-end list in the comments down below, and if I should make this a yearly tradition, just like I do with the games and the movies lists. I would love to get your thoughts and opinions. This is definitely an experimental video, and if it becomes successful, I will definitely turn this into a yearly tradition and tell you guys all about the best releases of the year that deserve your money. So, yep, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'm Jess Small of Animation Station. Peace.